All right, how's everybody doing tonight? I saw something cool on TikTok, and sometimes you can do easy on TikTok, and other times it's hard, but I have no idea how this will turn out, but I thought it'd be fun to try. And basically, the whole idea was to use a pool noodle and some vases and some candles and some decorations. And let's just see if we can do it. See if we can make it work as good as they did. So I took this pool noodle and I spray painted it with Rust-Oleum silver spray paint, and it dried immediately, which is awesome. And basically what the people did on TikTok is they took the pool noodle and they put it around something like this, and then they cinched it up with a zip tie. So let's get our zip ties. Hopefully our zip ties are going to be big enough and strong enough to pull this off. I might have bases that are a little big. Actually, I could probably do this higher up, right? Since I'm going to be using fake candles, so there's no flame. That would make it a little more narrow. This could actually be quite interesting. Let's see how much. I'm definitely going to be pushing it here. I'm going to be pushing it. Let's give it a try. I can probably also string 2 of these zip ties together as well. I kind of think I'd like it better down further though. What do you guys think? Watch my zip ties probably gonna pop. Oh, it's gonna pop anytime. Huh. Don't do that. All right. Let's do plan B. Plan B is string 2 of these zip ties together. Okay. Make sure I have them going in the right direction, right? Yeah, that's the way that goes. So let's see. Can I do this? Well, one way I can do this. You're seeing this as I figure it out. So if I can do it, you can do it, right? One way to do this would be to connect a zip tie to one noodle and then zip tie the other zip tie to the other noodle. And if necessarily, we could even use 3 zip ties. So let's get this first zip tie on here. Hopefully all my paint doesn't come off. Yeah, they definitely must have used really big zip ties for this. But I think I can probably get it to work. It looks like a lot of paint coming off though. Well dang. Maybe I'm doing it in the wrong direction. Right? I can always spray paint this again when I'm done, right? Okay. Literally getting paint all over the place, that's for sure. Right. You guys are probably like, and that girl doesn't know how to use a zip tie. Zip ties are a pretty good size, but they don't really want to fit over this pool noodle. I'm probably going to have to try a couple different things to get this to work. I know if my husband was here, he'd figure this out right away. All right, let's think about what do we have that we could do to make this work. I don't really think stringing these together will work as well. Look, my hands are turning silver now. My clothes will be next. I don't know that stringing this together is going to work the way I think, because then I'm just going to end up with this right here, right? So that doesn't work. Let's try rubber band. I think I have some. Alright, let's try these rubber bands. Definitely going to have to respin my silver. Of course, if I stick enough decorations on it, it may not even matter that I painted it silver. I think something here with this rubber band. There we go. rubber band is stronger than the zip tie. Seemingly, anyway. Let's go ahead and add our other base. This has potential. I'm not totally bought on this yet, but it has potential. And actually our pool noodle is longer than we need it to be. We're going to trim that. Now the only caveat to this that I see so far is if these rubber bands were to break, that would really not be so great, right? So maybe what we need now is some twine. I hope you guys find this entertaining, because this twine is not going to go flying across the room, because that would be terrible. I'd have decoration stuff going everywhere. Might even hit somebody, right? We don't want that. I guess if you try something that you see on TikTok, be prepared to improvise, right? Okay. Just want to make sure that I secure this enough that if the rubber band breaks, that my pool noodles and my decorations don't go flying everywhere. Now let's see how good of a job I can do of tying this. I don't know about the rest of you, but I really enjoy getting creative. And sometimes that's in the sewing room, sometimes that's in the kitchen, sometimes, applies to everything. Garden. Now this end here will have to be pretty creative to hide this, right? So let's go ahead. Tie this. We can get this tight. I kind of want it to be symmetrical. Can you pull that off? It's not too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this right about here so there. Okay, that's not working. My base is coming off. That's not what we want. That'll work. Okay, so I'm going to cut this right about here. See if these scissors are strong enough so that it sticks out. Actually, that's too far. Actually, let's cut it right about here. I want it to stick out about the same on both sides, right? I'm sure there's better devices to cut with, like maybe a razor or something. One of those box cutters. I'm definitely making a mess. Let's make sure we get this in here really good. I think I have more paint on everything but the pool noodles. I wonder if it'd be better off up here. What do you guys think about that? Let's try that. So I just feel like this noodle is going to come flying off the base. In the video that I watched, they were actually using more smaller candle type holders, right, for tapers. But I thought I didn't really want to use my fancy candle holders for that purpose. I'm going to get silver paint all over them, right? I have some really beautiful ones that are that Avon Cape Cod Ruby glass. Alright, let's see. Let's just shape this a little bit. Maybe more like, kind of want to match the shape of this end here, which will be hard, but we're going to cover this. So let's see, if we go at an angle, you might be able to pull this off. See how I'm doing that? Going at an angle. Alright, so it sticks out pretty similar on both ends. Alright, let's take a look at some of our decorating stuff now. So, I'm kind of going with a silver theme, but then I also got some of these pretty, looks like red berries. It's not really red berries. Thought that'd be pretty too, the contrast. And obviously you could fill your jars with other stuff. I'm just using what I already had in my jar. But I think like those glass marbles would be really pretty, especially if you had, you know, different colored ones. Well, let's just see how this turns out here. So these sprays are pretty cool, right? With the berries. A little stuck with each other, so be careful you don't break the berries off. So I've got that. And then individual silver leaves like this. And then I have some bigger ones like this. So 3 different types that we're going to try using. And I'm thinking I'm going to start with the bigger decorations first because I can kind of cover this way. And then I'll come back in with the smaller stuff. I think that's what I'm going to try. Let's see how this works out. So we can kind of, oh, interesting. These are hollow too. I didn't realize that. Okay. And yes, these bend a little bit, so that helps. We're going to want to cover this ugly end, right? So let's do the same thing on this side. Definitely going to be washing my hands when I'm done doing this. Boy, I am a mess now. I thought that purple plum chili sauce messed your hands up. Well, let me tell you, spray paint is pretty messy. All right, let's just spin this around. I can probably stick that in just a little further. Okay, and we want to stay symmetrical, so let's go over on this side. And I'm going to use artificial candles in here just because I don't want it to be a fire hazard. Come this way. And so once you get them stuck in there, you just spin them around a little bit till you get the shape that you want, right? There we go. Hopefully this doesn't end up looking like a monstrosity. Only time will tell. If you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know I'm not afraid to try different things, right? You can come up with some pretty cool stuff. I'd be willing to try different things. Step out of your comfort zone. Okay, we don't want to go too high because we don't want to block the light from our candles either. And be careful you don't break the foliage while you're bending it. Just bend it gently. The other direction. Let's try to work evenly on both sides. And this isn't exactly how they did it on TikTok, but it's the similar idea that we're working with. I'm definitely going to be trying to. There we go. I'll be working with these bases to keep them from falling over. And another idea I have is I have all these fruit trees out there with branches that need to be pruned. I could always spray paint those too, right? And those will easily stick in styrofoam because they're really stiff. So if I run out of sparkly things, sparkly faux foliage, I can always spray paint some branches. Not tonight because it's dark out now, but that is an option. So right now I'm just going around the top and covering this, but I think it'd be nice to have some going down too. So that's one thought, one consideration. We definitely want to cover these bands, right? Nobody needs to see that. We'll get there. Reminds me of making a wreath almost. And let's think for a minute here. I'm really thinking about how I'm going to cover this area here. Let's add some of these sprays, the berry sprays, just to work with more than one type of decoration. Kind of seems like a good idea to work bigger to smaller. And even though I'm trying to be symmetrical, you don't want things to be too balanced because that makes people uncomfortable. If you ever go into a room that's perfectly balanced, you'll know what I mean. You'll feel like you need to move something. Thankfully, the styrofoam is pretty forgiving. All right. You know, sometimes I work on projects like this and And you feel like, ooh, I hope I'm not creating a monstrosity, right? But then you're working on it and you're working on it, and then it suddenly magically comes together, which is probably how this is going to work out. I hope. And as you're poking these in here, you have to think about where it's going to end up once the pick is stuck into the foam. All right, this is starting to have some shape to it. Let's try adding some of these little leaves and see how that works. My husband's going to think a fairy came in the kitchen while I was gone. These are kind of twisted together. So just got to untwist them a little bit. And that's kind of interesting, actually. Think about it. Let's see how these untwist. I kind of feel like they're meant to be somewhat stuck together. Can't be possible, though. All right, let's just start with one at a time and see what happens. There we go. Oops. All right, it's not going to like that. Can't stick it in that way. So let's actually untwist these. Which is a little bit of a pain, but we can do it. Almost need my cheater glasses. These are pretty small. There we go. There we go. That's how we get these apart. Okay. Now to very carefully poke these in. These ones aren't as stiff as the picks were. But you can bend it around, right? And then just do it in such a way that the vein side on the leaf is on the bottom, so it doesn't show, right? Nobody really wants to see that. It's definitely going to be sparkly. My daughter would love this. She's a sparkle girl. And so as you put these in, just stick them in different directions. So we give it a little depth. almost think it would be beneficial to spray paint the foam once you have it on the vase, as long as you don't mind getting paint on the vase. But since we've already got the foam on the vases, we're not going to do that. How is everybody's week going? It's been pretty busy for us. My husband bowled a big tournament, and we spent Saturday, Sunday, Monday at the bowling alley, and then we were blessed to have friends in Tuesday, and then I got to go to lunch with a friend today. That was pretty awesome. A nice surprise. Friendships make the world go round. You got to make time for your friends. This has potential. It's not there yet, but we're making some progress. I kind of feel like we could use one more darker color, like a neutral, like a gray, a charcoal maybe. Put some thought into that. I'm glad I have lots of these little leaves. Even some white would be nice. Some little white sprays. In fact, I could even use some pine cones. There's a pine trees in our neighbor's yard that hang over our house. And so every year some pine cones fall in. I don't know if you caught that short video I just did, but I've got a few more pine cones out there that I could spray paint. Of course, if you're going to use pine cones, you'd probably want to add those early on because they're larger objects. Okay, let's get this unwrapped. How am I doing? Any comments there? Looks like we have a few people. Thanks for joining the channel, Brantley. Thank you. Ron Weasley Smith, Mike, thanks for joining the channel tonight. There we go, that one went in really nicely. Anybody else noticing the shorter days? Tell you what, we lived in Alaska for a long time, and we definitely have more sunlight here now than we did in Alaska this time of the year. Of course, in the summers there, you get almost 24 hours of light for about 3 months. Everybody pretty much lives for that. So this definitely takes a little bit of work, but it's not too hard. And I think it's going to turn out all right. You can actually spend a lot of money just buying a pre-made arrangement, and all these little things that I got to make this were really inexpensive. And these glass jars, you can find these at garage sales. Everybody always has these old vases that they don't seem to be able to get rid of. And they're perfect for something like this. I'm just adding in these little silver leaves as filler to cover up our styrofoam. Probably change the angles from time to time so that you can see it from different views to see where the styrofoam is sticking through. And there's quite a bit of that. This would be a really fun project to do with kids. As long as they're old enough to not poke themselves in the eye. And I think if you're doing this with kids, it'd be really fun to find stuff outdoors to spray paint, right? You'd want to do the spray paint part yourself. Especially if it's small kids. You don't really want kids getting spray paint all over themselves, right? And actually, if you're pregnant, don't get it all over yourself either. Safe out there. Some of these go in a little more easily than others. But if they don't go in quite the way I want them to, I just bend them because it's got a long, twisty attached to it. And I have some battery operated candles, and I'm thinking I probably need to make sure I have batteries for these. But that's what I'm going to use with these, just because I don't want to create a fire hazard. Normally I like to use real candles, but not for something like this. And these little metal leaves, the wire isn't as strong as on the other ones, so it's a little more work to put them in, but since they bend, it does work. And I picked silver and cranberry for this decoration, but you can use whatever colors you like. Kind of going for winter, fall theme. Just keep rotating, because you'll see a spot where you see the styrofoam, and then you'll be able to cover it. I almost think it would have been just as easy to take 2 short pieces of styrofoam and attach it to both sides of the bases, like not necessarily to have to wrap it around. So that's a consideration. In fact, the next one I do, I might even try doing it that way. Love it when they go in the first time. And you could probably twist a couple of these together and like have like 3 leaves, sets of 3 leaves, right? Just to mix it up a little bit. Let's try 2. Now it's a little hard because this wire isn't as strong as the picks. But let's see if we can get it to work. 2 leaves. Kind of worked. So now I want to work on the sides a little bit, right? Because right down in here you can see the foam pretty easily. Maybe I'll add a few more sprays to this. It's a little harder to grip this once you start getting more decorations in there. You don't want to break it. Yeah, let's add some more sprays on the bottom. Starting to like it. Definitely takes some patience here. My vases. Once we're done, they'll be stationary. So you could use this for all kinds of purposes, right? You could decorate for a holiday, you could decorate for a wedding, for a birthday. I just like that it's very sparkly and cheerful. If my daughter was here, I know she would agree. She's my sparkle girl. But you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing. Oh, hey, TWC, thanks for joining in tonight. It's snowing in West Virginia. I bet it is. Let's see what we have here for, am I going to have a baby? No, I'm turning 60, so probably not. Nobody's pregnant here. Hey, Ethan Carter, thanks for joining the channel. Thanks for joining the channel. No babies, just trying to be a little cheerful. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope you get out there and try to do something creative yourself. Oh, I haven't showed you what I'm going to do with the candles. All right, hold on. Let's do that. Let me put you back up here. Put you back up here on the tripod. And let's check out these candles. So for these, we are going to use these pillar style ones. And surprise, they're silver. Got plenty of silver going here. And what I didn't realize when I ordered these is they're actually 3 different heights. So actually I'm going to take some of this foam and stick it at the bottom to prop it up, right? So we get the same size. And these are battery operated. I don't know, I'm going to have to look for batteries. They have different cycles. There's 4-hour timer cycle, 4 hours on, 20 hours off, 8 hours on, 16 hours off. So that's kind of cool. Probably just do the 4 hours on when we're ready to use it. But let's get 2 of these out. And I got this off of Amazon, and it was not expensive. Hopefully it works, right? But what's really interesting about this is it actually comes with a remote, so I could be ready to turn these on and just turn them on all at once if I want to. I'll have to do a short once I have candles in these, right? So you can see what they look like. And I have to do a little work here to adjust it so that the height is the same. But I think this is going to turn out pretty nice. What do you think so far? Thanks for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed decorating, making homemade decorations. I encourage all of you to go out and try to make some of your own. Save yourself some money by getting creative. Have a great evening. Thanks for watching.